one of the single biggest scams of the 21st century is the 40-hour work week, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. This is today's societal norm. And I find it strange that more people don't seem to question this. They just kind of go along with it, and I'm not sure why. Every day when I go to work, I ask myself, why am I trading 5 days for 2? 5 days for a weekend. I find it interesting. But yet, most of society just accepts this. Is that really a good deal? I'm not so sure. You see, this 40-hour work week is a construct of the Industrial Revolution. When the factory was put into place, people began to work shifts, 8-hour shifts, 5 days a week. Why? To increase productivity, to produce more for that factory. Before that, people did other things. They did farming. Farming was a big part of life. And before that, hunting and gathering. There was never a formal time structure, blocked times that people would be productive during the day. Now, I want to be very clear here. I'm not anti-work. Work is extremely important, and I believe that everyone should do their part to contribute to society. The issue is when we give up our time and our freedom to another entity for a very, very small piece of the pie. Most people work pretty hard, and yet so many people are struggling, living paycheck to paycheck just to survive. Is that not an issue? Is there a problem here, or is it just me? I think so many people are lulled into this system, this matrix. And we need to stop and think about things critically. Now, I may be a hypocrite for saying these things because I myself work a 9 to 5. And again, I have nothing against working per se. But when we accept these constructs without questioning them, that's where the problem lies. I think it's pretty safe to say that most people enjoy having free time. Yet they still pledge 40 hours plus of their working energy to making shareholders richer. Shareholders, millionaires, even billionaires who don't know their names, don't know who they are, certainly don't care about them. Why? To earn a paycheck. A paycheck. Why are we trying to earn a paycheck? So we can pay for living expenses, housing, food, all these different things that we need to survive. So you see, working a 9 to 5 job, for the most part, is a survival mechanism. And that's part of the problem as well. It's not a way to get ahead for the vast majority of people. Now, I'm not saying you can't be successful and make a lot of money in a job. There are certainly many people who earn amazing livings doing what they do for a company that they do not own. What I'm saying is that there are many, many people out there who are working hard for companies and they are still stuck in survival mode. They're not thriving, they're just getting by. Every month, they'd be lucky to have 10% of their paycheck to invest into their future, into their retirement. You see, investing for the average person is even more important than ever before these days because pension plans don't exist like they used to. For the most part, companies nowadays do not have defined benefit pension plans. They are often defined contribution, which means that the employee contributes a certain amount into the pension. The employer likely also contributes, possibly matching, or in some cases even matching and then adding a few percentage points above what that employee contributes. But this is still considered defined contribution, meaning that the amount contributed into the fund is defined, but the benefit or the amount that the employee will eventually get out of that fund once they retired is not defined, meaning that the onus is no longer on the employer. The employer is not responsible for producing a pension that will give their employees an excellent retirement. They're saying, look, we'll invest a bit into your pension. You got to invest a bit into your pension. But in the end, whatever happens, happens. If your pension funds aren't enough for you to retire, that's not our problem, because we don't have a defined benefit plan. We are not going to say, hey, look, we're going to give you $50,000 a year indexed to inflation. We're just going to say, hey, look, we've contributed X amount each year. You've contributed X amount each year. And however much you get based on market performance of the fund, that's out of our hands. And so I think as time goes on, companies care less and less about their employees. Now, of course, there are exceptions, smaller businesses, family-run organizations that still do truly care about their employees and ensure that they're well taken care of. But for the vast majority of corporations, workers are nothing but a number, a cog. The only way to truly get ahead financially, working a job, is to slash your expenses and invest very strategically. To take your finances seriously and ideally have another income or multiple income streams on the side that you could also invest into yourself, into your future, into your retirement. I would say that most people, at least in developed countries, are still operating in an old game. The old game being go to school, get good grades, go to university, get a degree, get a job, work your way up the ladder. This is the old way. The problem is that the rules have been changing, and they've been changing very rapidly. Inflation, housing costs, the way organizations do business, layoffs, all these things are changing and shifting with our society. But this old indoctrination, this obedience that is taught to the masses through the school system remains. This might sound like a big conspiracy theory, but it's not. It's just the way things are. And the more you think about it, the more you realize the system is not meant to set you free. It's meant to keep you working. Why do you think pensions start at 60, 65? It's because the government wants people to be working in their productive years up until 60 or 65, 70. Because after these ages, people are tired. Usually. Of course, there are exceptions. There are always exceptions. But for the most part, people, once they reach their 60s, their 70s, they start to slow down. They get tired. They get sick. And they're no longer able to work. And so I find it strange that we work 5 days a week, 40 hours a week, until age 65, when we're feeble, tired, and only then can we enjoy a life of freedom, a life where we do not worship the weekends. So, what's the solution to all this? I think the first step is to recognize it for what it is. It's a system. And like any system, you can choose to play in the system, or you can choose to get out of the system. Or you can do both. You can be in the system, but also have the opportunity to step out if you so desire. And once you realize this, you can start taking actions to set yourself up for future success, future freedom, future independence. Anyway, I just wanted to make this video to get some thoughts out there. I'm always about thinking things through, not just accepting things blindly, because the world is vast. The world is incredible, and we need to think for ourselves. We need to make our own decisions, and ultimately, we need to pursue our purpose and our dream lives, because otherwise, what's the point of life?